Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining me here today. If you're new, I'm Amanda. Welcome to the channel where we are all about shattering the mental health stigma. If you haven't already, help us hit 10,000 by making sweet, sweet love to that subscribe button. Click the bell so you're not missing any of these reactions, any of my vlogs about my mental health story, or any of my celebrity interviews about their mental health stories. Today's request was from one of my lovely Patreons, Mark Hodges. Thank you so much for your continued support in allowing me to continue my mental health outreach. If you guys haven't had the chance to check out my Patreon, I will go ahead and link that below so you can jump on live streams with me, ask questions for my celebrity guests, see what I'm up to with my mental health outreach, make priority song requests, and so much more. So make sure you check that out. I will link that in the description below. But today I am going to be reacting to When Blind Man Cries by Deep Purple. So When a Blind Man Cries by Deep Purple. I don't know anything about any of this, but it sounds very sad. So I am going to buckle up and get ready for what I'm sure is probably going to be a feels trip today. Let's dive in. Have to recenter myself here. Sounds like video game music. I feel like I'm in an outer world overworld right now. Just waiting for it to pick up. No, I don't know anything about this band. That guitar has seen some stuff. Look at that guitar! Whether I'm drunk or dead, I'm really not too sure. So the picture it's painting for me, and this could be because of my own experiences that I'm projecting, is that this person is in a coma from, I'm guessing, some kind of drunk driving accident, which, like I said, that could be me projecting. I have a half-brother that I will never know that died when he was 19 on a motorcycle accident because of another drunk driver. He was taking a friend to the hospital to meet his friend's new baby, and they never arrived because of a drunk driver. My dad was completely disabled because of a drunk driver, but that's what it sounds like to me, is that if you're leaving, close the door. So I imagine he's talking to a nurse or something. I'm not expecting anyone anymore, so it seems that this happened quite some time ago, and people have stopped coming to visit, so now he's kind of just left with his grief. Hear me grieving lying on the floor. It sounds like he's just left with his grief, and he wants to be able to communicate and can't. And that's really deep. When a blind man cries, there ain't no sadder tale. Well, this to me is a fate worse than death. This to me is the absolute worst fate that someone could be subjected to, feeling all of this pain and all this grief and not being able to outwardly express it, not being able to tell anyone. So I'm interpreting that he's blind because he can't see the world around him, he can't interact with it, express it, and it was talking about my world is pale. Obviously, his world would be bland and sterile and boring because he can't see the outside world anymore. So he's in it, but he's not a part of it, and that is what I interpret the blind man lyrics to mean. But yeah, I understand that is the darkest possible thing that I, as a human, can imagine. So my heart's really breaking for this person. That's a huge fear of mine, is being in this situation and not being able to get out of it. I would hope that someone would have enough heart to let me go, because I would not want this to happen to me. It's so peaceful though while it's telling this story.
Had a friend once in a room. We had a good time, but it ended much too soon.
So somebody was involved in this accident with him, and that this person is also in a coma, but I'm assuming this other person lost their life, lost their battle. I'm not sure what to, but it seems that they were having fun, drinking, partying, whatever, and then this person, there must have been some kind of accident. This person lost their battle, or at least isn't with uh, our singer physically, our person physically in this story. And it seems that this blind man, is processing living with the guilt. So he feels responsible for it. Now he's living with the guilt. I love how simple this music is. It's not a really complicated song on a musical level, but it's just very simple while it tells this really deep story, and I like that.
In a cold month, in that room, found a reason for the things we had to do. I'm a blind man. I'm a blind man. Now my room is cold. When a blind man cries, Lord, you know, it feels it from his soul.
Because it is deeper in this kind of a situation. When he's crying, there's no real release, there's no real connection, there's no comfort, there's no nothing. It's just nothing but anguish and being trapped in his own body. And to be honest, this is actually a lot how I felt when I was on several different medications when I was a teenager and they first started trying to put me on medications. I felt like I was trapped in my own body and I couldn't in any functional way outwardly express it. So I couldn't cry, I couldn't communicate. I was just a zombie, and that was terrifying. That was worse than the depression itself. And I tried for many more years to give different medications a try, and they just weren't going to be part of my journey. Fortunately, I found other ways and healed without medication. I know that they are very important and invaluable to some people, but that just wasn't the truth for me. But that's what this brings me back to, is that awful feeling of just being trapped in your head, trapped in your body with your guilt and your grief and your shame. And I'm thinking that our blind man was responsible for the other person's death or the other person's injury. So he's dealing with the guilt of what has happened. Perhaps there are other people involved as well, and he's dealing with that guilt. But I can't imagine being stuck inside yourself, dealing with that, and not being able to get help in any way. That's awful. I like his bracelet. It's some kind of Indian pattern. I like that. Or Native American, I apologize. Native American pattern. My dad had a lot of jewelry like that.
I'm a blind man. I'm a blind man. And I know when a blind man cries, Lord, you know he feels it.
When a blind man cries, he feels it in his soul. So he's, again, feeling it inside. He's internalizing it. He can't connect with other people. And that was a very powerful story. I'm glad that I braced myself for that trip. The title itself led me to believe that it was going to be pretty deep. And I hope that I was on par with the meaning. It could be something else completely. This is just what I interpreted, but that's a beautiful thing about music, is it's completely open for interpretation. But like I said, I have several personal experiences with accidents related to alcohol, and it's very tragic. And I think this is a very interesting take on the person affected. This could just as easily be the person on the other side that was hit by a drunk driver, that was affected by a drunk driver, or someone under the influence. I can't fathom, especially in our day and age, that this is still a problem. This is still something that happens, that there are blind men all over the world, blind men and women all over the world that are suffering, stuck in their own hell like this because someone couldn't call an Uber, because someone couldn't call a friend, because someone couldn't sleep in their car. This is ridiculous, guys. Come on, we're in 2021. This doesn't need to be happening anymore. We need to really be responsible. If we're going to go out and have fun, just think that these could be the consequences of it, and I would never want this to happen to myself, to my family, or even to a stranger. But it's a very important topic, and I don't know how. I imagine this band, judging by those red pants, is older, is a little more vintage, and Metallica's done a cover of this song, so I'm guessing that they're from back in the day. But this isn't a problem that's going away. We have to take control of it. The message is still just as important today, and I'm a little out of breath. I felt kind of heavy listening to that. Just thinking about how awful it had to have been for my dad, who was in a coma for 6 months because he was a truck driver and he swerved to miss a drunk driver and was in a coma for 6 months. And I just think of this being him, that he's stuck inside himself and couldn't cry and couldn't interact with his loved ones, couldn't express his very basic needs. He was talking about the room being cold. Can you imagine being in a room that is emotionally or physically cold, where either it's physically cold and you have no way of expressing it to say, hey, I need a blanket, or it's that emotional coldness where you're just freezing in your own emotions. I guess that's what they mean when hell freezes over, right? That you're in this frozen kind of hell, and there's really no way to get out of it. That's my interpretation of that. So if I'm completely off, feel free to tell me, but I like just going in blind and doing my own interpretation, because that's what art is, and I like having that opportunity. So thank you for sharing this very deep, meaningful story with me, Mark. Guys, I really implore you, as always, to share your stories. This time, if you feel like sharing a alcohol accident related story pertaining to mental health. Alcoholism and drunk driving and things very much do tie in to mental health, because of the people that are left behind, because of the people that can end up injured. All that ties into mental health. So, like always, I really implore you to share your stories in the comments below, whether they're just general mental health related or alcohol related, addiction related. I implore you to share your stories here in the comments, because that's how we shatter the mental health stigma. Guys, I am so appreciative for all of the growth that I've had, both with subscribers, of course, but just the growth that you guys are giving me on a personal level as I traverse through some challenges of my own. I just feel like I'm getting to have so many more experiences because of this community, so much more connection because of this community. So thank you very much. As always, like, subscribe if you haven't already, share, and just let's tell our stories. I love you guys so much. Mwah!